The sound goes straight to the cells, straight to the water. Dr. Masaru Emoto did water experiments with sound. And he would take water from mountain streams. He would also take tap water, freeze it under a microscope, and observe the clear geometries in the natural water.
So I'm here with Austin, and today we're going to talk about heart gardening, which is a concept that you came up with. But the first thing I want to ask you is about the three brain centers that you told me about. The thinking, the heart, and the gut.
Yeah.
Could you kind of just run through those three and tell me what they're about?
Yeah. So my awareness is most, I know more about the thinking and the heart. I'm learning more about the gut, but they say we have three brains. A lot of us through modern culture, we associated this with who we are because our brain is the most complex system in the body. It's in charge of our thinking. It's in charge of our maps of reality. So we understand past and future and associations, relationships. This is our map. And this is quantum. The heart has 40,000 sensory neurites, as the research says from the University Institute of Heart Math. So the heart actually sends more signals up to the brain than the brain down to the heart. And the heart, it speaks in intuition. The brain often works in logic. You know, we have a logic and intuition side, but the heart, it feels. We've all had those moments where we just know and we don't know how we know. That's heart. Yeah. We're just dropped in, we're present. And our heart's also the center of our magnetic field. So there's a field which science it can now measure. We call the aura, but science now measures as our magnetic field that extends up to 9 feet past our body, around 6 to 9 feet. And this is generated by the heart. It's 5,000 times stronger than the magnetic field of the thinking brain.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said the heart is about your intuition, your thinking brain's about logical structure, kind of. How do you know the difference between when something comes up, whether it's intuition or if it's your thinking mind or ego?
Gotcha. So obviously the brain works in logic and intuition, but intuition, which is the primary language of the heart, I can only speak from my lived experience. I'm still learning so much, even just talking to you. But my best way to distinguish that is when it's complicated, when it's super long form, it's usually from the brain. When it's a thought out plan, when it's in the future, in the past, the heart really speaks in small, gentle messages. If it's really loud, it's from the brain. But if it's very gentle, persistent, and quiet, it's from the heart.
Yeah. You both took Stephanie's intuition workshop.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. So what she said is it's a soft nudge that keeps coming up again and again.
Yes.
And that's from the heart.
Yes.
Okay. So, the heart is more powerful than the mind, but the mind dominates a lot of times. You know, like, at least for me, in my experience, the mind is more active than my heart. Why does that happen?
As far as I understand, when my mind tries to dominate, it's a sense of separate self. You know, in this beautiful reality, in this life, we live in paradox. So we're all unified. That's yoga. But we're all sovereign and individuated, which is also part of the work of Carl Jung. So we're unique and sovereign individuals, but we're also a unified whole. Just like no cell in my body is separate. No single cell does any more or less than anything else, and they get their job mixed up. So I don't fall apart and wither, but I function and thrive. So when the logical brain tries to take over, it's synonymous with cancer. So like if one cell in my body says, you know, I think I could do it better. Let me play God. Let me take care of the body. I'm going to do it my way. Usually that interrupts the natural rhythm, the natural universal laws, and it manifests as a distortion, a cancer, a dis-ease, or anything like that. So it's a long way to say the mind, you know, when we're trying to control, we're trying to force it our way, and when we're trying to, there's a lot of trying involved actually. So the brain is a great servant, but it must always follow the heart.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. You were telling me, does this relate to the divine masculine and feminine in any way?
I know it definitely is. I'm trying to feel if I can even speak onto this. So the divine masculine and feminine archetypally are energies. So the Kabbalion, which is a text that goes over universal law, talk about the seventh law of gender, which isn't about man and woman. It's about masculine and feminine archetypal energies. So the masculine is the drive, the pinpoint, the laser, the center, the light. And the feminine is the womb, the matrix, and it provides receptivity.
Hey, how you doing, man?
It provides receptivity and creativity and flow.
Uh-huh.
Now, there's so much more that go into those. It's coming off right now, but neither masculine or feminine are better or worse than the other. They all complete each other. And
Going back to the energies, divine masculine, feminine, those are the fundamental energies of the universe, right? How does someone harmonize those two energies within themselves?
something I'm still learning, but the best I've pinpointed for it right now is, so those are the archetypal energies of duality. So we harmonize those through unity. So yoga, union, yoking, combining. You know, if you look at seasons, they all have their rhythms. You know, winter, the yin, the feminine, the stillness, the masculine, the summer, the doing, everything flows in an equal balance. So I'd say to balance those two, starting to inquire who we are, starting to inquire about what our reality is, how it works, and understanding rhythm itself. I try to look at everything through a lens of balance. And I don't have a perfect way to say this. Every single person that exists is always trying to balance these two, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have a perfect answer, actually.
Yeah. That's very interesting. I think the notion that a man must have complete masculine energy and a woman must have feminine energy is a kind of not correct, at least from my perspective. That's something I've learned over the course of the last couple of years, that I was like so fixated on being this hyper masculine dude.
Yeah.
And I'm rejecting my inner feminine, yeah. Which actually, when you adopt your inner feminine as a man, you become even more better as a man. So it's like, I think maybe it goes through Jung's individuation process or integration, where you integrate all the entire psyche, and you don't abandon any single part of yourself in the shadow. So let's go to, so I know that you're into Carl Jung, right? I'm assuming you've done some of this.
I wouldn't say I'm an expert in anyone that I've studied, but he's one of the people that keeps coming up over and over and over again as part of my inner learning circle. Yeah.
Okay. So could you tell me what the shadow is then?
The shadow is like the rejected parts of ourselves. So we can even see it playing out in our culture, you know, like in politics and religion and economics, all demographics. It's easy to witness it in the macro and the micro. That also goes into the universal law of correspondence. As above, so below, as below, so above.
Huh.
So, reel it back to center. The shadow is the parts of ourselves that we deny or disintegrate, dissociate, and cut out of our being. It's the parts that are in unawareness. So there's a quote by Carl Jung. I think it goes pretty along the lines of, until you make the unconscious conscious, it'll rule your life and you'll call it fate. So our shadow is
controlling us in some capacity that we don't understand.
Not necessarily controlling us, but it's a part of us that has its own autonomy. And when it's unified, we're a whole being. And when it's disintegrated, it will play out some way or another. Balance is fundamental in the universe. If we deny our shadow, try to be all love and light, our shadow is going to come out in different ways.
Yeah.
If we just stay in the shadow work, our light's still going to shine. It's very interesting. But I remember a quote I learned from the Ram Dass podcast, and I just remembered it. It's from Manly P. Hall. And he said, "He who knows not that the prince of darkness is but the other face of the king of light knows not me."
And he dissect that?
Yeah, so all the darkest things that we look at and say, that's wrong, that's evil, like Hitler, slavery, racism, abuse, rape, like we can go deep on it. All the darkest things, they still exist from the same source. And all the lightest things, just like the yin and yang symbol, like which color's right? However, shadow creates pressure for the light to experience. So as far as I'm understanding my own lived experience, we are always constantly evolving and growing, so that most dark things are just an experience. If we divine neutrally zoom out and experience and just witness. And when we're in the picture, if we don't prefer that, we can try to elevate war into a dance. Like, instead of being against each other, what if there's a way we could challenge and grow with each other? So the shadow, I believe, can exist without harm. I think that segues into the yogic principle of ahimsa, or nonviolence, or what would also be translated as just pure reverence for life. You know, all these ascended masters and Buddhas, enlightened beings, they were probably fully aware of the evil and the good they were capable of. But did that make them a bad person? No, they chose to enlighten and express that in a very unique way that was in harmony with everything around it, which I think is a masterful goal. Maybe not everyone is meant to. I don't know. I don't know. But we're all capable of.
Right. Okay, so how does the shadow work relate to some of the spiritual practices that you do? For example, the practice that we just did right before the podcast, which was involving dropping down and sound bowls. Both of those combined to have some sort of effect on me. Is that related to, in any capacity, shadow work?
I don't know how to make a direct correlation to shadow work. But I also, in that process of heart gardening, one of the main things I intend to do is connect people to their hearts. Because we're all one. We're all connected in the web of life. And each of us is sovereign, so that universal essence speaks to each of us in a way that only we know. So when I take people into the heart garden, sometimes I've had people have blissful experiences. I had someone have a really heavy release, followed by a deep integration where they seemed a lot lighter and more at peace. So I suppose my awareness in real time, the shadow work comes with my intention is to connect people to what they need for their highest good and non-harm to themselves or others. So if the shadow comes up, it's uncomfortable, it's pressured, then it can be moved past, expanded and integrated, included, and then transcended.
Well, I don't know if you know the book. Well, I forgot the name of the book, but there's a person that mapped out the emotional frequencies.
Yeah.
And
that chart for all the way from like apathy all the way to like
enlightenment
bliss,
and love. Yeah.
Enlightenment, yeah.
At the very bottom was shame.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you were describing. Like when you have shame, you want to stay small and constricted.
Yeah.
And through whatever perhaps the practice that you do is almost like a way of releasing that shame, and like you just open up. But kind of, that's how I felt from your practice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's certainly one of my goals, and every session I hold for people, I'm learning too. I feel part of a reality is we're all mirrors for each other. I don't think a reality is any one thing. Deepak Chopra said it best for me. He said, the purpose of reality is everything. And one of the reasons I wanted to point at the mirror is every time I hold heart gardening for someone, why I ask, what's your intention? What's present for you? Where are we journeying today? Is because almost always without fail, someone will bring something up that I'm also going through in some capacity. So I'm like, okay, so let's figure this out together.
It's a mutual journey for both of you.
It's always a mutual journey, and it takes away the concept of guru. I'm not here to be a guru. I'm not here to be, some person who knows it all. Like, my guiding to the heart garden is exactly that. It's guiding, and to plug you into your source of wisdom, plug me into my source of wisdom, because I don't fully know what you need from my human expression. You don't know what I need from my human expression, which is why we plug into heart, which is the answers for all the questions we've been going over in this podcast. How to balance our masculine and feminine, how to integrate our shadows, how to be enlightened, what that looks like in everyday life. And any question you could have, if you take it to the heart, it will.
Yeah, so
you'll find the answer.
One of the things I learned through this self-exploration journey is that you don't need a guru. You already have that inner guru.
Yes.
What you need a guru for is to help you find that inner guru. That's what you need. And then once that happens, then you have your answers for yourself once you can tap into that. So what is that inner guru? Intuition, source, power, God? What is that? Spirit? Like, is there a tangible label we can put on it?
No.
Okay.
Anytime I find a tangible label, I find I've lost it.
That is beautiful. Yeah.
So all the imagery I'm describing in the heart garden, that radiant golden harpy, it's a placeholder. Alan Watts says it best. Speaking so many quotes, I've dived down so many rabbit holes, but he says, everything we do with words and pictures and images is a finger pointing at the moon. The true self, source, can only be, I was going to say experienced, but it can only be, you are it. Yeah. So it's a direct experience, and that's what yoga points at. And I wouldn't call myself a master yogi or any of this. I'm very much still a student who's finding some of his gifts and wanting to share those with the world, because I want to help the world become a more harmonious place. Mm-hmm. Even if that is controlled folly. For all I know, I'm going to open up a chapter and find out I've been headbutting my head against the wall. Or maybe I'll find out I actually have been doing some really great things in my time. Yeah. I can work with the awareness I have now, and my heart always expands that gradually and consistently.
Interesting. Okay. So yoga is about finding the inner guide? Would you say that?
I hesitate to even give a definition to yoga, because the clearest term is union. And that is to unify oneself. Unify with oneself.
Unify yourself with yourself.
Yeah.
Or could I say that unify what you think who you are to what you actually are?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would be relatively accurate.
Okay.
And even still learning. So that's a placeholder too.
Right. And who you think you are is perhaps the thinking mind, the ego mind, the set of labels that you put on yourself. And
that could be a huge part of it. It's the character, the individual we play.
Do you know Bashar?
Yes.
Yeah. So he had a beautiful thing where, he said that personality is just an interface. It's a fake mask that you put on for social life, etc. Yeah. And that you could.
Here we are with this interface.
Yeah, exactly. So he said, like, as a person that goes through some sort of spiritual development, you'll notice that not only that their personality changes, but they also become more soul-like in their nature, more expressive, more able to change their personality and express themselves in how they want to do, how they want to be. I found that pretty fascinating. But one of the things that I have resistance towards that complete expression is there's a resistance, right? Like, not everyone is just able to fully express themselves. Where's that resistance coming from?
I'm very curious in my own explorations. Last year I went out to Mount Shasta and I was trying to transcend the ego and get into enlightenment.
You tried ways
that?
You said you tried that?
I've definitely tried that.
To transcend your own ego?
Yeah.
How did that go?
It felt like betraying myself in some way.
Really?
So I don't think the ego is a problem. The more I understand the universe, the more it's not in the crown, not in the root, it's in the heart, which is everywhere. So I really wanted to make a clear point. Where was that point? There it is. Okay. So it's gone again.
So good. Yeah. So becoming more soul-like is kind of probably the heart, opening the heart, becoming more soul-like.
Yeah, that brings me right back to it. So I used to think becoming more soul-like was what all these gurus are doing up in their crown chakra meditating in mountains. I think becoming more soul-like is unique for every individual. You know, I'm starting to look into astrology and gene keys, human design, not as absolutes, not as fixed fate written, but as maps. And I found out for myself, whether I've lived multiple lives or not, whatever the truth is behind that, I seem to have an innate gift for being in the ether, for being in a psychedelic open mindset, for being completely malleable.
Yeah.
And I'm stepping into learning how to be more structured, how to be more consistent, how to work with limitation as a gift and experience, not a problem. So some cultures, they'll view or some traditions in the past have viewed this as a mistake. They're like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
But Tantra doesn't view it that way. A lot of other traditions don't view it that way. They say, look at this beautiful vehicle we get to experience ourselves with, like all of it.
So universe experiencing itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not a mistake. Every single person will do it different. Some people might want to transcend out of their body and it feels right. Some people may want to dissolve their ego and it feels right. Some people may feel that friction and feel that there is a necessary expression for their ego. Everyone is different.
Yeah.
But the heart always leads the show. The heart knows exactly your truest expression and all of our truest expression, creating this divine, massive music piece.
Yeah. And some people just want to make money and live luxuriously, not even think about spirituality, which is okay too, if it works for them. So in the heart gardening session we did, you had sound bowls. What is the role of playing that sound in that session?
So sound healing, which is a modality I discovered about 3 years ago, and I've been playing for about 2. Sound goes directly past our thinking mind into our bodies. And that takes us back to the gut brain. You know, our gut brain, the bacteria and the cells, it's often associated with our visceral intuition, our body responses, our temperature, our regulation, what we need. So the sound goes straight to the cells, straight to the water. Dr. Masaru Emoto did water experiments with sound. And he would take water from mountain streams. He would also take tap water, freeze it under a microscope, and observe the clear geometries in the natural water and the distortions and pollutions in the others. But he took clean water and did the same experiments with meditators putting either love and compassion or hate and fear. And noticed that hate and fear could corrupt the water that didn't have particles in it, while the love and compassion would form these beautiful geometries. So the sound healing is, 1, to harmonize your entire field in a vibrational basis, to create positive and beneficial change. And 2, it also entrains the mind. So it is a state of light hypnosis or deep if you choose to go in meditation. Sound healing really creates an ambient atmosphere for changing your brain waves.
Okay. So this vibrations from the sound, does that relate to the 9 feet aura that you mentioned that the heart produces? Is that related to that?
It definitely is, but I hadn't consciously drew that correlation yet.
Okay. So the reason I asked that, is there other modalities besides sound that could do the same thing that sound does? Is there other things that you could do besides sound?
Anything with a clear intent. So sound is so visceral. We listen to music, it moves us. But also, our intention alone. You know, I guided us the other day through HeartMath's quick coherence technique. And were you able to feel a change in your state of being when we went through the generating a positive state of being?
Yeah, at the end, yeah.
That was that as well. So not only can intent affect us from the outside, the world, the things around us, sound, but it can affect change from the inside out. So just by a memory, you can affect the change in your body to release beneficial healing hormones, to heal disease, have more energy, digest food better, take you out of fight or flight, the breath. Really, I think this is a rabbit hole I'm exploring myself, because anything that we connect our clear intention to seems to affect beautiful change within the body and our environment.
Yeah. In a lot of like spiritual circles, I noticed that there's a lot of emphasis on the mind, the consciousness, but they disregard the body itself because it's like a physical thing, right? Like, so they're like, let's forget the body. Let's just go into the mind. Let's escape. At least I used to do that. What's the role of the body in spirituality? Like this body?
I don't know the clear, precise role. I'm still learning. The quote, I think it's a Buddhist quote of all form is emptiness, all emptiness is form. Anytime we say, oh, it's all empty, polarized, you lost it. Ram Dass says it beautifully. When you identify only with the soul, you've lost it. You're off balance. You're out of natural law, and you're not taking care of your body, the thing you were gifted. When you only identify with your personality and your body, at the expense of your soul, you're locked in, you're trapped, you feel disconnected, you're also off balance. So I think the role of the body is honestly to experience. I've heard a perspective that says all the way from quarks and atoms, minerals, animals to us, and far beyond, we evolve. But how do we evolve? Through experience is what I'm coming to understand. Experience and awareness.
Yeah.
So if awareness is just this blob in the middle of nowhere, how does it evolve?
Right.
So the body, I suppose, could be a vehicle for self-experience and evolution.
Okay. Interesting. I lost what I was going to ask next. Okay, but let's go to breath, prana, the life force. Tell me about the breath and how it relates to grounding.
Breath saved my life, not figuratively. So
literally.
Literally. Yeah, I had a psychedelic breakdown when I had my spiritual awakening, and it was only my breath and a few amazing people and circumstances that guided me back to my center. The breath in yoga is one of the 8 limbs. So the West considers movement, asana, to be yoga. No, that's part of it. That's the physical, preparing the body. The breath is the bridge. I think the bridge may be the most important part, just like the heart. It's the bridge between the physical chakras and the higher chakras. So prana is chi, universal life energy, ki, mana, whatever you want to call it. When we breathe, we can actually consciously regulate the automatic systems in our body. I breathe naturally. I can change my breathing. My blood pressure is self-regulated. But through my breathing, I can change my blood pressure. I can change my nervous system regulation. I can begin to consciously interface with my body, with my breath, being inspired and spirited.
Yeah.
Consciously.
Yeah.
I don't know if I made the point I meant to make, but it's in there.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I did a lot of somatic breathwork rituals, and the practitioners would say like the breath is a way for you to connect to your subconscious. And there's many different techniques you could do that bring up certain memories from the past and help with that emotional release. So it's kind of nice to see like how the breath is so powerful in these spiritual circles. Okay, so let me go back to heart gardening. During the practice, you had me go through certain visuals. What was that for?
So heart gardening is a practice that just kind of came to me. It was inspiring enough for me to want to follow it for the vision I see it could be and for how it makes me feel. Back to Bashar, every single thing's a permission slip. Heart gardening is a permission slip I made for myself and for others that works best when I get to guide people. And the rituals are, in a long form session, movement to prepare the body, breath to inspirit, flow, unblock, and move energy. And then heart coherence, which is not mine either. I didn't invent any of these, just bringing them together. So the coherence generates that heart field, gets us into that mind, heart, gut entrainment where we're just oscillating in harmony. And then visual journeying inspired by shamanism to take us into escape to exercise the imagination, focus our intention, breathe into the space. What? I'm not sure if you were always aware of your body, but I'm sure you were in the space, but also aware that you were in your apartment with me doing meditation.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can do both. We can bilocate in that way.
Yeah, I was dropping in and out.
Yeah. We can even regulate it at will with the breath. So I'd say the breath constantly through that is the foundational pillar, and I build everything else around the breath. But that ritual is really just designed to connect you to your own regulation, your truest self, and your deepest well-being, which is beyond anything I could wish for you.
Yeah.
So those are some of the rituals, yeah.
Yeah. What about the spine?
The spine?
Yeah,
What
tell me
about
about the spine. Like, you had me sit up straight, no
yeah.
bending. What is that for? I know the spine has to do something with the Kundalini as well.
Okay, yeah. So the spine in esoteric and yogic traditions is our energy highway. So if you look at everything in life as an apple, a torus field, where does the energy go for us? You look at our aura, it's this torus, but it goes straight through the spine, from the root to the crown.
Right, the energy, it's going
in and out of the heart, centered on the heart.
Yeah.
So heart gardening as well, heart coherence, anything that centers you in your heart, works with the spine, works with the breath. It's starting to consciously evolve this energy highway, which are 7 chakras and all these other subtle energies flow upon.
Yeah. Okay, so, yes. How does psychedelics help with the Kundalini or relate to the Kundalini? Because psychedelics to me, I thought it was a mind thing, but it's not. Because I've spoken to many people and they've said, no, it's not. It's there's a deeper spiritual aspect to psychedelics.
There is. I'd say it's all the above. So psychedelics for me is a very gentle and reverent topic. Ram Dass beautifully talked about going from psychedelics to service. He started having his awareness, his awakening from being so stuck with LSD. I had my own awakenings with mushrooms, LSD, DMT, and there were times where I actually had traumatized myself. And what I found out through my trauma-informed yoga training was that when energy's not flowing perfectly through the spine, which mine isn't, it's getting better, it's because of a trauma, like rocks in a river.
Yeah.
Psychedelics can really help they're one of the greatest portal openers I'm aware of.
Yeah.
So you go in there with an intention, you open the portal, you can affect massive change. You go with no intention, you open a portal, and it ping-pongs around all of these blocks, it can affect trauma. So for me, my spiritual awakening is actually very traumatic, and I attribute it to what a lot of people talked about in the spiritual community, raising the Kundalini without consciousness, trying to force it up. There's a lot of the energy in the spiritual consciousness about raise the energy, raise it up, raise it up. But that's forcing.
Yeah.
It raises when it's ready, and it raises naturally when it has no resistance, when the barriers are unblocked. So I think the practice is just as much about stillness and awareness as it is about actively cultivating and raising.
Okay. What are these blockages? Is that trauma? Blockages in energy, is that equivalent to trauma in some capacity?
I would suppose so. That's the best translation I've found in my lived experience. So anything that keeps something from flowing as it purely is, I guess could be considered a trauma.
Okay.
So if you experience abuse or developmental issues, ancestral lineage stuff passed down, it's a whole rabbit hole, right? That can be considered trauma. So if your entire lineage has been healing many things, but they missed it here and got passed to you, then some of what you heal in your root, your survival, your sense of existence and safety, your sacral, sexuality, creativity, expression, on and on and on and on. Everything from the trauma-informed yoga perspective rests on the foundation. So actually, I don't know the clearest way to answer your question, but the best way I've found to heal trauma is to start at the root.
Oh, the root chakra.
Start at the root, because the
root chakra, okay.
the model they taught me was that trauma is in the root and it affects everything above it. So then the sacral has its own traumas, but it's also affected by the traumas of the root chakra.
Oh, it's like a domino.
So yeah, people are only trying to go to the crown chakra, but they're still, their reality lens is warped from the traumas of their root chakra. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
And I'm still figuring out my own cosmology, because if the heart's not in any of this process, it doesn't matter whether you're up or down.
Yeah.
So I'd say like simultaneously start with the heart and the root, and then you bring heart to sacral, and then you just keep bringing heart to up the ladder.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty fascinating stuff. Speak to me about brainwaves, and there's a few different types of brainwaves. Theta being probably the most where you're most receptive without falling asleep.
Yeah.
Why is it necessary for your brain to kind of melt? If you understand what I mean.
Yes. Yeah. So we have many different brain waves, all the way from gamma to delta. They've even discovered some beyond that. But talking about theta, we operate usually in beta, which is conscious thinking, mind, logic, reason. When we're born, we're in delta. We're just like kind of unconscious. We're just sponges for everything. Theta, we start like a dream state, like a psychedelic realm, learning everything, observing. Alpha, as we're developing. When we're in that, we're very creative, very playful. And then at some point, we develop the conscious mind so strongly, and with all the programming, not good, bad, right, or wrong, but we start operating in beta as natural. So then our natural intuition and our capability to choose new patterns, choose new beliefs, choose new ways of being, they become a little separated. So your conscious mind and your subconscious mind are divided by, I'm sure we both experience with psychedelics that the edges of reality can really open up when that barrier is really reduced or dissolved.
Yeah.
So if we're only in the conscious mind, you could speak to someone who is a complete intellectual. Once again, no right or wrong about that. But if it never gets past their barrier, they're not going to change their beliefs at all.
Yeah.
And theta allows someone who experiences a trauma or wants to shift a part of their life to really rewire themselves. So you drop down from beta into alpha, which is the bridge, kind of like the breath bridge between the subconscious and conscious. And if you go all the way in theta, the data you're receiving gets programmed. And I think it's also good to bring into awareness that everything has a light and a dark expression. So shamans and great healers who are very reverent and connected with life, universal law, and the heart, they know how to affect hypnosis, which is what that is, in a positive way for the individual's highest good. Mm-hmm. If someone is working with hypnosis or brainwave changing states in a very self-serving way, then someone could actually program things into people that are not for their highest good.
Yeah.
And that's straight up called manipulation.
Yeah.
And I do my absolute best, being a human who's learning, to always try to get people in a state of reprogramming to receive what they need, not what I think they need. Because consciously or unconsciously, I don't want to manipulate someone into what I think is good for them. Mm-hmm. Probably not. Their heart knows.
It's really cool. So in that explanation, you mentioned that when we're born as babies, we're in delta because it's just pure consciousness. We're sponges for the world around us. And this practice of heart gardening or any other practice is almost like us trying to become that baby once again so that we can be sponges, but sponges for the thing that we want to become. It's almost like breaking the current narratives that we have and then being open for a new alternative reality that we could be experiencing. Am I going, correct me,
I don't think there's right or wrong there. I don't know how to answer that. That one's beyond my
Okay.
what I'll even touch.
Okay, at least for me, it was in my experience. I was always shy to be on camera and never able to be vocally expressive, and I had to come to Casa de Luz a lot to rewire my thing. And my experience was, I'm a shy guy, don't know how to speak on camera, blah blah blah, and I had to go down this subconscious thing through many, Stephanie's class, your type of work, and then come out with a new sort of narratives that now I'm capable of doing this on camera. And it's like, you have to go down.
You're really good at it.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to go down that, you have to, I don't know how to say it. It bypasses the logical mind.
It does, and it's also great for learning new skills real quick, right? Like anything is repetition and experience. And I can't fully speak on your last, query, but I have a feeling that when they say become like a child in most mystical traditions, it's not talking about becoming immature again or going back to delta. There's a wave above our conscious thinking mind that's gamma. And they've observed that in monks meditating in MRI machines.
Yeah.
So I may have been in that state a couple times. I wouldn't know how to pinpoint it, but when our awareness heightens and we can be consciously aware of our unconscious, I feel it returns us to that wonder.
Yeah, that wonder, like that childlike curiosity.
Yeah, the logic wants to know everything. But if it tries to know everything and boils it all down to a point, it kills
the fun.
It kills the mystery.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it succeeds in the truth. No. The knowing and the unknowing are equal. The mystery and the unmystery, I suppose.
Yeah. And I think a lot of this is because when we think as humans, we're usually thinking in language, right?
Yeah.
But language is not capable of describing reality, not even close.
But it's fun. And we try.
We can try, exactly. But the reason I brought up the delta is because as a child, you don't have that language. It's just pure experience. There is no language that this experience is being filtered through. And that's why it's like, you're just a sponge. And if you want to change yourself, you have to break that language barrier. That's what I was getting to. But energy work. Tell me about energy work. That's kind of what you do, energy, healing. And I assume energy is what you were saying, the 9 feet aura.
Yeah, energy work is such a broad term. So I think anything, look for my verbiage I'm meaning for here. So anything that's helping someone move and work with their energy, I'd consider energy work, whether that's Reiki, sound healing, breath work, pranayama. Sometimes there's hands-on energy work. Sometimes there's passive energy work. So endogenous, exogenous. And energy work is such I still haven't figured out how to fully define that spectrum. Personally, I guess what I do is energy work, but I never fully categorize it like that because I am still learning to see energy, hear energy, and feel energy. But when we talk about the different types of clairs or powers when it comes to intuition, some people see, some people hear, some people feel. For me, it just comes through as a knowing. Like, I don't know how I know, but this resonates as truth so clearly, it's not blind to a fault. There's just clarity to it, which is how I'm speaking right now. I make sense in my heart what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And if you told me, what's the energy behind it? Can't see that yet.
Yeah.
So energy work is subtle. Very, very, it can be subtle and visceral. That goes into yoga. We're working with Kundalini. That's energy work.
Yeah.
We're working with karma. That's energy work.
Yeah.
You're working with, I'd even say as far as working on the nervous system, energy work.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you believe in God?
Yes, but not in the placeholder of the name.
Okay. Could you explain why?
I was raised Christian.
Okay.
So God for me became this being that was so much grander than everything else, and everything else was insignificant. But when I started connecting to truth more, I became aware, not only was I God, but I was part of everything else that's God, even smaller than a grain of sand on the beach. So for me, God isn't anything tangible, just like words. I don't think God can be described. You know, they say in the Tao Te Ching, the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao.
Yeah,
Or the
yeah.
Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's God to me. It's literally just,
Yeah. It's so funny because my ego mind's like, well, I want a definition of God, but no, the God's beyond definition.
I can give thousands of definitions, and each time they're just a placeholder. Once
Yeah.
again, it's that direct experience, which is what yoga's about.
A direct experience, right? What is a spiritual awakening?
What comes to mind is actually from someone I learned from named Matthias de Stefano. Claims to remember his past lives, and he kind of maps out the cosmology of the universe. But he also talks about archetypes and patterns. So I think an awakening could be simplified down to breaking out of a matrix into a larger matrix. A lot of people talk about escaping the matrix, but life is a matrix. If you escape life, you go back to the source. What happens? You go back to expressing life. So I think it's evolution. I think a spiritual awakening, just like how we evolve from ants to animals to us and on both ways. I think a spiritual awakening is just another stage of evolution where we break out of one paradigm of understanding, out of that matrix into a larger matrix, out of the fish bowl, into the fish tank, into the ocean.
Okay. And sometimes I'm not claiming that I went through an awakening, but maybe some very minute version of that. I kind of went through this earlier this year, but it brought upon a lot of, how do I say? I don't want to say suffering or pain, but like confusion, like everything that I thought I knew and understood about myself was just completely breaking. And just all the old paradigms were no longer resonating for me. And that like so confused and lost. But eventually that laid the groundwork for a better version of me. So does spiritual awakening usually entail some sort of kind of pain that you have to just confront right then and there?
Yeah, I'm enlightened now. No, but my spiritual awakening is, once again, I'm in a larger matrix and I'll probably break out of this one and have another awakening.
Yeah.
But what you're referring to in the hero's journey archetype is the dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
Like, I had a similar thing where everything I knew was just so shattered, I actually kind of lost the will to live for 3 days.
Wow.
I got it back. My body started working right again. Like, I was completely melting down, breaking. I was dying to be reborn. So, in a way, I've heard the terms, when we go through a spiritual awakening or any type of conscious evolutions, there's sometimes the death throes of the old self. Like just the trails, the tracers of what's dying off. But it's never truly dead. It's always evolving in each present moment. And a spiritual awakening isn't just like day 1, day 2, it's so rapid, so fast that there's that lag for your heart, soul, and everything to catch up and integrate. So it can feel like death. It can feel like hell.
Yeah, that's exactly what it felt. And part of it was, I did a very small amount of psychedelic.
Yeah.
And with the experience of that was that it was a horrible trip, very bad. And the voice that was telling me was like, you're hiding. You got to stop hiding. And just, I was like, tears were coming apart and like all that. And I thought it was going to be a fun experience. Like, it was not fun at all. But it told me like exactly what I needed to work on.
Yeah.
So it was a bad trip, but a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. Sometimes truth is gentle. Sometimes it's firm.
Yeah.
And I say that knowing damn well I prefer the gentle, and I try to do my best not to hide. So I also want to say in this podcast, don't believe it just because I said it. Experience for yourself. Every single person out there has to experience life for themselves. No book can be written just for you. You write your own book. You're living your life. Mm-hmm. And everyone has their own spiritual awakenings different. I mean, if someone has a very open river with minimal traumas, maybe they break into it with bliss. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's also nothing wrong with the complete shattering either. Yeah. But it looks different for every one of us. How fast we raise it, how fast we open, whether we're doing so in a balanced way. I also wish that anything I say here not incite fear. We're all going to go through pain. We're all going to go through bliss. And even though I'm still present to suffering, I've become very aware that the suffering's optional. And the pain can be minimal when we understand. I talk about natural law a lot because I want to learn it deeper. If I understand how the universe works, I understand how to dance. If I understand how I evolve, I understand how to do that consciously. And then it becomes less painful and involuntary, and it becomes more co-created, voluntary, and I'm involved in my own growth.
Right.
In which if I encounter a dark night of the soul, I'm like, I know I chose this. I know how to sit with this. I can breathe. I can integrate. All right.
Can you bring upon yourself a dark night of the soul, or is it just kind of life just throws it upon you?
I'm sure I could abuse myself into a dark corner, but I don't know. I don't truly know I could probably ask, like, strike me. But
because most people I talk to, they're like, no, it just happened to me. I mean, for same in my experience, it just started to happen. I'm like, why is these questioning happening to me? Why do I feel like these thoughts that are in my mind, not my thoughts anymore? And
I feel everything comes when we're ready.
yeah.
And no sooner, no later. Like sometimes we can be toggling. But if we hit a moment of alignment, which alignment shouldn't scare anyone either. It used to scare me, and I'm still healing my definition. But sometimes when we hit alignment, instead of this crazy kaleidoscope, there's so much clarity. You have a quantum leap. And in that quantum leap, a lot of things can change really fast.
Huh.
I don't know the full nature of a dark night of the soul, other than just like everything that exists, it's part of the experience. If everything exists, it's because it exists. If there's positive, there will be negative. If there's joy, there will be sadness. Because everything from the unity, the emptiness or the essence expressing itself, does so in duality. So in a way, the higher the high, the lower the low, the lower the low, the higher the high.
The higher, the more bliss and enlightenment you want to experience. It's almost like the higher you want to go, the lower your depth has to be. Like Carl Jung has I forgot the quote. I'm gonna butcher this. The tree that has the roots that go up to heaven also has its. You say that?
Yeah. No, so it's not verbatim either, but it's pretty much the roots. The tree that grows its branches to heaven has its roots firmly steeped in hell.
Yes.
And I've also understood, I talked to someone today about getting tired of learning through extreme contrast. Now, we can learn myriad of ways, but it's always balanced. Whether we're going to extremes, we swing in, swing out, swing in, swing out. Or what I've noticed from just witnessing the Buddha, or as I perceive him to be, they're in a state of balance, not perfection. They're still growing and evolving, but there's such an oscillation refinement, like my fingers barely vibrating, that they can go in and out of that high and low and just integrate on spot. That clear awareness is what I perceive. I don't know that to be truth. That's what I perceive. When we go through major extremes, like if I spent, actually I did, when I spent years as an addict and very unconscious, nihilistic, and self-deprecating, it took me years to come down the other side. And then through my own growth and evolution, the spiral has become so close to center that I can experience that whole range in one day.
Wow.
And that's what led me to the hypothesis that balance is really closing the gap of that oscillation, making it more unified and harmonious. So your seasons are moment to moment to moment to moment to moment, instead of these vast
cycles,
massive cycles. And there's still the larger cycles.
Of course.
We're still in a human body. It's not going to blitz you out of it. But I think that's one of the supreme goals of heart gardening, and for myself in general, is to help people find that unshakable center. When you're truly connected to your heart and you can oscillate in that very balanced state, nothing life comes up with is going to break you. Just evolve you.
Yeah. So what you described reminds me of Ram, if you know one of the avatars.
Ram, the Hindu god of creation?
Yes.
Yes.
Ram, one of the avatars of Vishnu,
okay,
Krishna.
see. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just say this guy, he's born, and he's the firstborn child. The whole kingdom is supposed to be his. So he goes to school to learn about what it means to be a king, comes back after 20 years, young man, 20-year-old, supposed to get this kingdom, but turns out he doesn't get this kingdom. Now he's going to be exiled into this forest. So that's a massive tragedy as it is. Like 20-year-old, young, ready to be a king, gets exiled into the forest.
Yeah.
So while he's in the forest, he's with his wife and brother. In the forest, his wife gets kidnapped. So now, he's supposed to be this king. Turns out he's in the forest. His wife gets kidnapped. And now he has to fight this war for 14 years with some evil king. But throughout this entire tragedy, what you were saying, there was this rapid integration. There was no moment where he's like, why is this happening? He's like, okay, this happened. My duty is just to follow the next best move. And so it's very fast. It reminded me of that story where it's like a rapid integration between the high and the low, and that they're so centered. Like, okay, this is what happened. I'm not going to ask why. I'm just going to be the next best move. Because a lot of suffering is like, why did this happen? This causes more cycle of that suffering. Yeah. I don't know if you resonate with that.
I do. I'm remembering a story I once learned from Ram Dass as well through the Ram Dass Be Here Now podcast. He was telling a story about two people. I'm butchering this, but the analogy is two people get shot with an arrow.
Poison arrow.
And one lives. The one lives because he gets the arrow taken out and then he tries to figure out what happened. The other one is like, no, don't take the arrow out. I want to know who shot it, where they shot it from, what this was poisoned with, who they were, what their family was like, and just on and on and on and on while they're just dying. Just take the arrow out.
Yeah, exactly. Let me end it with a very simple question.
Yeah.
Is there meaning to life?
I think the meaning is life.
Life is the meaning.
Yeah, I think we literally give the meaning to life that we choose.
Life is expression. Expression is life.
One could always draw in paradoxes like that. I look at it as a neutral canvas, and we're the artists, so we choose the meaning.
You're choosing. Awesome. Yeah. This was a fun conversation,
Dude,
man.
it really was. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, this was my favorite one this week.
Thank you.